And so scientists, environmentalists, and regulators all say that combating pollution is not just a matter of regulating industry, but the key to stormwater runoff is land use, how we develop and use our land. King County, I learned, has become a laboratory for testing the politics of land use. It's an area bigger than the state of Rhode Island, home not just to Seattle and 1.8 million people, but 2/3 of it is still forest. So it's an area where environmentalists want to strictly control the pace of development. And the man who has been leading the charge is longtime King County Chief Executive Ron Sims.
You have to protect our forests. You have to, in our agricultural areas. You must. Because if we don't protect them, our water quality will be significantly diminished. And why sacrifice clean water for growth?
Sims says his mission has been to save Puget Sound by protecting critical areas like forests. Way up here, 45 miles east of Seattle, he paid $22 million in tax money to buy development rights on 90,000 acres of forest, meaning that no developer could build on that land.
There won't be 200,000. We have 100. People are going to build their homes here. They were going to have their supermarkets here, their gas stations here. We stopped it, and we stopped it forever.
What does saving this timberland have to do with Puget Sound?
The waters that come off this 90,000 acres flow into the Snoqualmie River, which flows into Lake Washington, which flows into Puget Sound. We need pristine waters coming from this timberland into the Puget Sound. And so this property is absolutely critical to it.
Washington State's Growth Management Act directs local government leaders like Sims to concentrate new growth in cities and to prevent sprawl in lightly populated rural areas. For King County, Sims pioneered a critical areas ordinance that limits just how much forest and woodland property owners can cut down. Sims targets places like this, a 5-acre, one-family plot of land that belongs to Howard and Patty Van Laken.
Back in 2004, King County passed this critical areas ordinance that takes away the usage of 65% of your property if you don't have it cleared off, and we didn't have ours cleared off at the time, so we cannot touch 65% of our property.
So why would you want to clear more than 35% of this wonderful forest?
What we originally planned when we were in 1980 when we bought it was that we could subdivide and maybe give our kids a parcel of land to build a house on, or sell off part of the property for the proceeds to be able to keep our house and retire.
How do you feel about that?
Rather angry.
Very angry. Very angry. It's our property. We have been paying taxes on this property since 1980, and we can't even plant grass.
Angry at whom? Angry at what?
I'm angry with the King County government because they more or less took away our property rights without any compensation for our property.
We're getting the shaft. They're putting the burden on the small landowner, not on everybody.
The Van Laken's problem actually stems from a zoning ordinance passed in the early 1980s that barred subdividing properties under 5 acres. But to many rural landowners, Sims' new ordinance was the last straw, and they formed the Citizens Alliance for Property Rights. I met with several of them one evening over a beer in Issaquah.
We're in the same position that the blacks were in the 1950s.
Absolutely.
We are calling, we are crying, we are doing everything we can to talk to those who have their hands on the levers, and they aren't listening.
One throbbing refrain was resentment against political domination by the urban majority, which outnumbers rural voters nearly 5-1.
We talk about critical areas ordinance like it's a nice little one-page thing. We're talking about over 400 pages of amendments to existing law. 400, over 400 pages.
How much of the frustration out here is a matter not just of a single ordinance, but of a series of regulations that feel onerous? I mean, how much of this is built up over time?
Much of it is built up. It started in '88 with the Sensitive Areas Ordinance. In 2000, we had a gigantic downzoning fight. And then the coup de grace was the 2004 Critical Area Ordinance.
So it's an accumulation of things.
Very
right?
much an accumulation of regulation.
They told me people were so steamed up that Ron Sims rarely dared to come to their part of the county. People on his staff say he's gotten threats.
If it wasn't for us, I bet somebody would have gone for 30-06.
Talking about they would go for 30-06s? Guns?
I'm not saying they would. I'm saying they're terrified. I'm saying there are people who are so angry. If we didn't have a way to direct that to get some results, I know there are people in this county that probably would have shot a few key people. They are so angry.
We have been involved in destroying the timber industry.
Did you get any threats?
I always get threats.
I mean, serious threats?
I always get serious threats.
Do you take them seriously?
I cannot restrict my life and what I do based upon people who are angry and people who wish to threaten me. But in this particular case, it wasn't pleasant. People were yelling at me. We got a lot of nasty phone calls and emails, and it wasn't fun being on television. And quite frankly, I was abandoned by a lot of people, even the environmental community at the time, for saying, Ron, you might be too heavy-handed.
But Sims has not backed down. He asserts that the county ordinance was prompted by scientific analysis of runoff water flows, and he gets solid political backing from an overwhelming majority in King County. What do you say to critics who say, or to people who say, look, they've taken my land, in effect. I can only use a third of my land, 2/3 of my land. I've got to leave in forest and bushes.
No one has lost the value or use of their land. There's not one case in King County where anybody's been able to show that.
You mean nobody's come forward and said, I want to do this on my property, and you've turned them down?
What people have found is that we're not going to allow them to develop their land in terms of building a lot of homes on it. But the use of their land, they still enjoy it to this day.
The rural people are saying this burden all falls on us. The city people don't have any burden on them. How do you respond?
Well, the city people have far more burdens and restrictions on their land than anyone in a rural area has. Far more. And they have far more regulation on their land.
Folks, stay tuned. This thing with another round on the lawsuit and the enforcement of...
Some angry rural property owners filed suit. and a state appeals court has struck down part of Sims' critical areas ordinance. That issue is now before the state Supreme Court.
If the Supreme Court upholds the Court of Appeals decision, it'll be the abandonment of everything that this state has voted on consistently, which is they want environmental protection here.
While the legal drama plays out, the lesson for Ron Sims is unmistakable.
We will never recover Puget Sound if we don't get a hold of the stormwater. I mean, I never imagined that that body of water would just fundamentally be unhealthy for whales and for salmon. All the things that make it a rich, wonderful environment. We may, in the next couple of decades, and when I'm 80 years old, if we don't do anything, people will say, your generation, you lost it. You weren't willing to step up and save it.
Back on the East Coast near Chesapeake Bay, the problems of development sprawl that King County is fighting have played out in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. Already, 17 million people live in the Chesapeake Bay watershed. In recent years, 10,000 more moved in every month. And every month, 3,000 acres of forest were lost to development.
The outer loop heading toward Tyson's Corner, reporting very heavy traffic west.
The sprawl took off decades ago here in Northern Virginia, about 5 miles south of the Potomac River, in a suburb of Washington called Tyson's Corner. Today, Tyson's is a case study in the harmful impact of unchecked growth. But 60 years ago, Tyson's was just a rural crossroads with a country store.